Alright everyone, and welcome to the final video of 2024. It's been a truly sensational year to support Celtic, but the really exciting thing for me is that it seems like there's more of that to come in 2025, and 2025 might actually see us witness an even better Celtic team. Yeah, Brendan Rodgers is clearly building something pretty special, so what are the next steps in that? Well, we're going to discuss that a little bit today, because while lots of people might be bringing in the bells later today and celebrating the new year, the real people out there will be celebrating something much more important than that: Nicholas Kuhn's birthday. But no, seriously, the winter transfer window slams open, if that works, tomorrow, and with it we will bring new Celtic rumours, murmurings and potentially done deals later in the month. So we're going to discuss that today and work out what we can expect to see from Celtic. Now, the first thing to note is that it's likely to be a relatively busy month. Clearly not going to be as busy as the summer windows, when a lot of the time you see Celtic sign 6, 7, 8 players. But also when you look back at maybe 10, 15 years ago, you'd look at Celtic's position and we're doing incredibly well in the league, 14 points clear. Many would say the league is already kind of won, or a lot of the hard work's been done. And you might look at the squad and think, yeah, we'll just keep this going. As long as we keep hold of what we have, there's not really much need to strengthen as much. I think it's fair to say Celtic are a lot bigger than just winning the league these days, and that's not the limit of our ambitions. It's kind of more than that. It's about clearly improving and continue to improve so we can make greater inroads in Europe. But just generally, as I said earlier, Brendan Rodgers is building something, so it's a case of continually building on what we have, and the January transfer window gives us an opportunity to do that. So business will be done. I should just say I mentioned Europe a minute ago, just to clarify right away that any signings we make in January won't be eligible to play in our final 2 league phase matches. So any January signings won't be able to play against Young Boys or Aston Villa. They will, however, up to 3 will be able to be registered for our squad for the knockout rounds of the Champions League, should we make it there. So keep that in your mind. And yeah, as I say, Brendan Rodgers is going to look to improve the squad in January. He's been pretty open about that. I think it's widely understood that we're going to be looking at a winger, a left winger, to provide some competition for Daizen Maeda. And to be honest, just give us another option so that we can take the strain off Daizen Maeda a little bit. But we'll get into all of that. Left back situation a bit up in the air at the moment. Both Greg Taylor and Alex Valle out of contract with us in the summer. There's been a lot of talk about Kieran Tierney. There's also a chat about a third striker coming in. And we may get a surprise somewhere, a midfielder, something like that. There's always a chance there. So yeah, this is how our first team squad looks going into the window. And as always, these squad depth graphics have people screaming out, "Oh, why haven't you included him?" I've done my best to include everyone, and I've actually added in a couple of players you might notice there who have been out on loan away from the club in the first half of the season, but are returning or have returned. We'll come to them now. Just go through them. Clearly, our goalkeeping department doesn't need any reinforcements at this stage. It's not been confirmed yet, but I'm pretty sure Kasper Schmeichel will be signing on for another season after this. Right back, all good. I know some people have their gripes about Anthony Ralston, but I think he's a pretty solid backup. At centre back, yeah, we have 3 first choice centre backs, I'd say. Basically, we're kind of rotating between at the moment. The other 2, Stephen Welsh, Mike Naropski, may both want to leave in search of game time. There was chat yesterday being reported that we're ready to let Welsh join Belgian side KV Mechelen on loan. The thing I would say, Brendan Rodgers has spoken in the past about wanting and needing 4 centre-backs on your books. So I don't know if both Welsh and Naropski would be allowed to leave. I think the club are going to be recalling Dane Murray from Queen's Park, so maybe it would be a case of allowing Welsh Narotsky to move on, probably on loan, and having Dane Murray as their fourth choice. He's quite highly rated. I think he's done quite well, and he would tick the homegrown box if Stephen Welsh is going to be leaving us. But potentially we could sign another centre-back as well. I don't know. That's what I mean. Like, everything's kind of an option. Left back Alexandro Bernabe is on the graphic. He's set to return from his loan with Internacional in Brazil. Clearly he won't have a part to play. You'd expect him to be sold permanently in January as well. As said, both Vai and Taylor have question marks over their Celtic futures. Midfield, we are very well stocked. Perhaps the 5 best midfielders in the country, I would maybe say. I don't know if anyone would find an exception there. Oldenholm is kind of the hanger-oner at the end. He'll surely want to move out on loan. On the wings, I think we have 3 really good proven options, but ideally you want 4, again, just so you have 2 good players for every position. Lewis Palma, likely to leave, chat about the MLS. Yang may well stick around even if a loan may be better for him at this stage. I would certainly, as I said the other day with Asim, I would quite like Yang to move out on loan, just to kind of find out if we've got anything there. But if Palma's leaving as well, you might need to see 2 wingers signed, and I don't know if that's likely. Striker stuff is interesting. Recent reports suggested that we'd look to sign a third striker. Brendan Rodgers has already explained in the summer that this wouldn't be another first choice option like Kyogo or Ida. He said that basically doesn't work. You can't have 3 first choice options. If you only play one up front, you've not really got the game time to offer to 3 different players and keep them all happy. So if we do sign a third striker, it'll be a younger player who maybe doesn't have the same game time demands, but someone who would give us like a kind of third option. Johnny Kenny is back at the club now, so we do have 3 strikers on our books. Yeah, interesting to ponder whether he'll be that guy. I think he's going to be given a chance to prove himself, but I also feel like we may well see another striker come in. A younger guy, but someone with a bit of potential. Because, you're always looking to the future, and maybe Kyogo doesn't have that many years left in him at Celtic. You would probably have to concede. So that's something to keep an eye on. That's quite exciting. It's always exciting to see Celtic signing strikers. So that's a topic that will be discussed, I'm sure, during the month. Now, just to get what Brendan Rodgers is thinking at the moment, speaking after the St Johnstone win on Sunday, he said, "I always like to add goals to my teams in January where I can add that threat and that freshness to the squad. We were able to do that last January with Nicholas Kuhn and Adam Ida, which was great for us. We'll look to do the same. I just think I will look at it now 12 months on to where we were this time last year. We are in a good place, however, we want to keep improving, so we hope to be able to do that." Now, the name you're likely to hear more than any other during the course of the January transfer window is, of course, Kieran Tierney, who is out of contract with Arsenal in the summer, and reports suggest that Brendan Rodgers is very keen to bring him back to Celtic and work with him again. And from the sounds of things, Kieran Tierney is also pretty keen to come back to Celtic. So we could sign him on a pre-contract agreement, basically any day from tomorrow. We could also sign him permanently in January, or we could work out some sort of loan arrangement. Now, I've touched on the Tierney stuff, so I'm not going to go massively into that again. I'm a fan of the signing, as long as we've got like another reliable left back there that can... we can kind of manage Tierney's game time alongside someone else. One thing I would say is I'd like Celtic to be really proactive with this left back situation. As I say, real question marks over whether Greg Taylor's going to be with us next season. Real question marks over Alex Vai as well. So rather than waiting until the summer to sort this issue, go and be proactive and deal with something now. Even if we end up with 3 left backs on our books for the second half of the season, and it allows whoever the new signing is just to get up to speed and then come in fully next season. That's something I'd like Celtic to do. Just be positive proactive rather than reactive with your transfer signings. And clearly in the past, we've been reactive rather than proactive. I would say right now that I'm leaning towards Greg Taylor probably not being here next season, just because it's taken so long for a deal to be concluded there. And the Alex Valle stuff seems kind of complicated just with his situation at Barcelona. And it's not as if Alex Valle is like a regular starter with us. I'd say he's probably, Greg Taylor's getting more of the game time so far this season. So would he even be really keen to come back? So yeah, left backs are going to be an interesting one, but rather than push it down the line for the summer, I'd like to see Celtic deal with this in January. Left winger is apparently the priority position. I don't know if Brendan Rodgers has said that outright. He might have in the summer, but the feeling was that we wanted to sign a left winger in the summer, but it didn't quite happen for whatever reason, and that's now something we're going to tackle in January. Now, Daizen Maeda is clearly amazing. We all love him, but there's not really a viable alternative for him on the left wing. There's a bit of a drop-off when Maeda doesn't play, and it's either Yang or Palma. So for me personally, and I guess this is a pretty, this isn't a kind of unique viewpoint I've got, I just like another option on that left wing, someone with a bit more creativity than Daizen Maeda, someone who can maybe cut inside and open the game up a little bit. A bit like Nicholas Kuhn does on the right-hand side. I think if we found someone like that who could work with Daizen Maeda, that would be very exciting. Obviously, Jota's name has been mentioned. He would fit that bill. But again, I just think that seems a little bit unlikely. But, you know, stranger things have happened. The other name, Michel Ange Balikwisha, was the Antwerp player. He was linked with us in the summer. We were apparently pretty keen on him in the summer. The move didn't happen for whatever reason. It may have been linked to him picking up a pretty bad muscle injury that kept him out up until a couple of weeks ago. He returned, and then I've noticed he hasn't actually played since the game he returned for Antwerp. So I've got question marks over his injury record, if I'm honest, which I know may be a little bit rich when I've just touted Kieran Tierney to come to the club, but I guess there's a bit of maybe a sense of nostalgia there and heart ruling head, etc. So yeah, I mean, you look back at this time last year, and obviously we signed a winger last January, and it was Nicholas Kuhn, and from memory, Nicholas Kuhn's his name kind of came out of nowhere. He wasn't someone who we heard of months in advance. So I wonder if we might see something similar and a left winger signed. Clearly, if it's someone of the calibre of Nicholas Kuhn, we'll all be very happy with that. And yeah, the striker stuff will be interesting as well. Don't really have much else to add there because we don't really know yet, as I say, whether Johnny Kenny will be viewed as that third striker for the rest of the season, or if we'll want to go into the transfer market and sign someone. In terms of players potentially going out, there has been some chat in recent days about Kyogo Furuhashi and Cameron Carter-Vickers. They've both been linked, maybe somewhat tentatively, with moves away. There's obviously a lot of hype surrounding Nicholas Kuhn as well. Recent quote from Brendan Rodgers on this saying, "I suspect there will be interest in all our players and lots of gossip and speculation going about. But no, I think our idea is to improve our squad. I just relax and work with the players and we want to improve the squad. Whatever happens, happens, so I'm not committing to anything that I know you would love me to, and then you'll kill me and end the journey or whatever. My focus is just on developing the players we have and improving the squad, and at the moment that's come up." I know we've lost some kind of first team players over recent January windows, like Liel Abada this time last year, David Turnbull to an extent, although he was kind of fringes. Year before was when Juranovic and Giakoumakis left. So we have lost big players in January in recent years. I just don't get the sense that that's going to happen this time around. I think there's reasons for all those kind of 3 or 4 players I mentioned there. Obviously the Abada situation we don't need to go into. Turnbull wanted game time, but as I say, Turnbull was more of a fringe player than a regular first team player at that stage. And I think Giakoumakis probably similar. He wasn't really getting the game time, and Juranovic was that bit older and wanting that move. I don't sense players in our current squad are like desperate to get away from the club. I just don't. I don't look at the squad and see anyone that I'm absolutely like. I get a feeling that they might move on. Obviously, at a club like Celtic, you're always just waiting on a major transfer offer coming in. Virtually every player is for sale. But also, I think the summer window is when we've tended to sell our major players. So I wouldn't worry about Kyogo or Nicholas Kuhn or Alistair Johnson or anyone like that leaving in January. It's also the first transfer window for our new head of football operations, Paul Tisdale. Now, he's in charge of many things at the club. One of them is identification of talent, which is a long way of saying scouting. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, and also if we're able to conclude deals much quicker. That was a bit of a frustration in the summer, that how long it took for us to get deals over the line, and obviously we ended up going into the final week of the window needing like 4 or 5 players, and we eventually got there in the main, and the quality of the signings I think has been really good and have enhanced the team. But it would be good to see Celtic move a bit quicker with all of this. So yeah, I'm forecasting a busy month. If you're asking me exactly what I think will happen, I think we'll sign a third striker, young guy. I think we'll sign a left winger. Left back situation, I've just seen Celtic long enough to think that just might be left until the summer. But I do think Kieran Tierney will come back to the club, so maybe some sort of pre-contract agreement there as well. The window is open from tomorrow, January the 1st, and it closes on Monday, February the 3rd. It's a bit later than the end of January this year. I assume that's just because it's the first Monday in February is the 3rd. So yeah, that's where we're at. Can I just say to everyone, I hope you all have a happy new year. It's been the first year of Celtic AM, started it in February, and all of your support has meant so much to me. Genuinely, there wouldn't be a channel without you all. So really appreciate the support, and we've gradually built this over the course of 2024. That's going to continue in 2025. We're going to get bigger and better as we move on. So looking forward to that. And a big happy birthday to Nicholas Kuhn tomorrow as well. There will be a big video dropping for you at 7 AM on New Year's Day. Don't know how many of you will be up in time for that, but you can watch it later in the day. It's a big derby preview with Stevie.